My name is Gabriel Nolan. For nearly 2 decades, I was the man who showed up when it mattered. I wasn't biologically tied to Marissa's daughter, Lily, but I was the one who stayed. Through scraped knees, spelling bees, and terrifying midnight fevers, I was there. Her mother, Marissa, drifted in and out of jobs, moods, and relationships. I was the one constant. When Marissa remarried a man named Curtis, I figured Lily would finally get the full family she always wanted. I didn't protest. I stepped back respectfully. I still checked in, still sent birthday gifts, still showed up to recitals when invited. But gradually, the texts stopped coming, then the calls, and eventually, silence. I didn't realize I had been erased until a friend forwarded me a link to Lily's wedding website. It was covered in pastel florals and smiling engagement photos, and one sentence that cut deeper than anything I'd felt in years. Lily will be walked down the aisle by her father, Curtis Hayes, who's loved her like his own since day one. Since day one? I stared at that sentence until it blurred. I remembered day one all too vividly. Lily's terrified eyes at age 3 when her biological dad bailed on a visitation. I remembered holding her through the tantrum, the heartbreak, and whispering promises that she wasn't alone. I kept those promises. I never claimed the title Dad. I didn't need it. I thought love was louder than labels. But at that moment, reading that one line, it hit me. I wasn't just excluded, I'd been erased. My 18 years of devotion, patience, and care had been rewritten with a single lie. What's worse, I found out I wasn't even invited. No call, no message, not even a passive-aggressive email from Marissa. It was like I'd been a ghost in Lily's life the whole time, visible only when convenient, discarded when no longer needed. I didn't want revenge, but I couldn't pretend this didn't hurt, and I couldn't go on living as if I hadn't given her everything I had. If they wanted to erase my name from the program, I'd let the truth write itself in a different way. Because I may not be her biological father, but I raised her, and some truths don't fade, they echo. At first, I was stunned, but the numbness didn't last. The moment my friend texted, "Hey, they're live streaming the wedding on Facebook," I clicked it out of masochistic curiosity. Part of me hoped I'd see a last-minute nod to the truth, to the man who raised Lily, even if I wasn't there in person. Maybe a photo, a line in the vows, a simple "thank you." Instead, I watched Curtis, buttoned up in his designer tuxedo, stand in front of 100 guests and toast my daughter as if she'd always been his. "I still remember the first time Lily called me Dad," he said, smiling at the crowd. "It was the greatest moment of my life. Being there from day one, it's been an honor raising you, Lily." I stopped breathing. From day one? I remember day one. The night Lily broke her arm falling off the monkey bars when she was 6. Curtis wasn't even in the picture then. I held her in the ER, trying to stay calm while she screamed. I remembered the parent-teacher conferences, her night terrors, the braces, the birthday cakes I baked when Marissa forgot. I remembered the time she got her first period and didn't know what to do. I drove to 3 stores to find the right supplies and sat with her for hours until she stopped crying. Curtis didn't exist in those moments, I did. Now he stood beneath fairy lights, smiling smugly, rewriting history, while Marissa clutched his arm and nodded along. The betrayal felt physical. It wasn't just that I wasn't invited, I'd been replaced. But it wasn't until I saw Lily, my Lily, smiling at him with wet eyes, mouthing the words, "I love you, Dad," that something inside me cracked. My hands shook as I closed the laptop. I didn't want to ruin her day. I wasn't trying to cause drama, but this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was erasure. And the people doing it weren't strangers. They were the very people I'd sacrificed everything for. I stared at my phone for hours before I typed a message to Lily. I saw the wedding. I'm not angry, but I'm hurt. I just need to know why. Did I do something that made you feel I didn't belong? No reply. Instead, I got a text from Marissa the next morning. "Gabriel, don't do this. Please don't make this about you. Lily has moved on. You're not family anymore. Accept it and don't ruin her new chapter." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it confirmed everything I feared. It wasn't that they forgot me. It was intentional, deliberate. They wanted me gone because I was a reminder of who they used to be. The struggling version, the broke version, the version of Marissa that didn't wear silk robes or go to couples yoga. And I guess Lily had grown into that new version too. I wasn't part of the narrative anymore. That's when the sadness turned into rage. Not the screaming, chaotic kind, but cold, calculated fire. I wasn't going to fight for their approval anymore. I wasn't going to beg to be remembered. But I also wasn't going to disappear quietly. If they wanted to write me out of the story, they were about to learn that ghosts don't stay silent.
The next morning, I didn't go to work. I didn't even get out of bed right away. I sat there, staring at the ceiling as memories flickered like film reels behind my eyes. The first time Lily called me Daddy. Her shaky handwriting on my Father's Day card in second grade. The way she used to fall asleep on my chest during thunderstorms because she said my heartbeat made her feel safe. Those moments weren't just memories. They were proof. Evidence of love that couldn't be erased by fancy speeches or new family photos. Marissa could twist the present. Curtis could play hero in tailored suits. But the past, that was mine. And it was real. I opened the old storage chest I kept in the hallway closet. Inside were stacks of tapes, mini DV cassettes from a time before smartphones. I still had the clunky camcorder too, dusty but functional. Each tape had a label. Lily's First Steps, Christmas 2009, piano recital, age 8. As I rewound through those blurry years, I watched myself, 10 years younger, with tired eyes and flour on my shirt, frosting cupcakes at midnight for Lily's school party. In another clip, I knelt beside her as she sobbed after losing a pet fish, whispering, "It's okay to cry. It means you loved." And in one clip, my favorite, Lily sat cross-legged on the floor, wearing oversized glasses, trying to pronounce caterpillar. "Say it again," I laughed from behind the camera. "Caterpill, wow." She grinned. My voice replied,
Close enough, sweetheart. You're perfect. I broke down sobbing. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about recognition anymore. I just needed Lily to remember, to see who was actually there. Because love, real love, isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in the quiet acts, the little things no one claps for. That night, I transferred the clips to my laptop. I edited them into a simple video montage, dated chronologically. I didn't add music or fancy effects, just raw moments, birthday hugs, science fair volcanoes, late night stories. At the end, I added a title screen. If you ever wonder who raised you, just press play. Then I uploaded it as an unlisted video to a private playlist on her old YouTube account. I wasn't even sure she still used it, but I remembered her password. I had helped her make the account when she was 13. The next morning, I sent her one message. No drama, no expectations. I just wanted to share something. It's waiting for you. Same password as before. I didn't expect a reply, and for days, none came. But I felt lighter, like I had finally spoken my truth, even if no one was listening. Then, one night, 4 days later, at 2:13 a.m., I got a message from Lily. It was just 2 words. I remember. For days after Lily's message, I didn't press her. I didn't reply with a flood of questions or guilt. I didn't ask her to explain herself or to choose sides. I simply let the words, "I remember," sit between us, like the first sunrise after a long, cold night. Then, 3 days later, on a rainy Thursday, I heard a knock at my apartment door. I opened it to find Lily standing there, in a navy hoodie, her hair damp from the drizzle, eyes swollen like she hadn't slept. She clutched her phone in one hand, her grip tight and trembling. She whispered, "I watched it." I didn't say anything. I just stepped aside and let her in. We sat on opposite ends of the couch like strangers, but we weren't strangers, not really. Not with everything that existed between us. Years of birthday mornings, school projects, scraped knees, bedtime stories. Lily cleared her throat. "Mom told me you didn't want to come to the wedding, that you didn't care." I shook my head gently. That wasn't true. She nodded. "I know. Now." Silence again. Then, like a dam bursting, she started talking. About how Curtis had always been good at pretending, how he made big gestures but disappeared during the small moments, how her mother, Marissa, subtly rewrote history with each retelling until Lily genuinely believed I was the one who had pulled away. "She told me you stopped showing up," she said, "that you just gave up." A bitter laugh escaped me. I was showing up, just not where anyone wanted to see me. Lily looked down, shame creasing her features. "Why didn't you fight harder?" It stung, but I answered honestly, "Because I didn't want to turn love into a courtroom, and because I thought maybe one day you'd remember the quiet things." Her lips trembled. "I did. When I saw that video, I remembered everything. The way you always stood in the rain, waiting after band practice.
The grilled cheese sandwiches with the crust cut off. The time I had the flu, and you slept on the floor next to me with a bucket in case I threw up. A tear slipped down her cheek. I forgot, and I'm sorry. I moved closer, carefully, like approaching a wild animal. You didn't forget, sweetheart. You were just made to believe something else. She leaned her head on my shoulder then, tentative at first, then heavier, like she was letting go of years she didn't know she'd been holding. I don't know what happens next, she whispered. Neither do I. But this is a good start. The next week, Lily invited me for lunch. Just her and me, no wedding talk, no apologies, just a chance to breathe. It became a new tradition. Tuesdays, at the little cafe near the park. We talked about books, music, her college classes. Slowly, the distance shrank. Eventually, she told me that she'd confronted her mom, not angrily, just truthfully. She cried, she said. Then she said I was being manipulated by you. I smiled sadly. Of course she did. But Lily stood her ground. She told her mother that love doesn't vanish just because someone else moves in, that erasing a person from the past is the cruelest form of betrayal. You were the one who stayed, she said. That matters. I didn't need her to hate Marissa. I didn't even need revenge. All I needed was this, the quiet, steady return of my daughter, not as a child, but as a young woman who finally saw me clearly.
The wedding day arrived with a strange stillness in the air. I wasn't nervous, but I wasn't calm either. I was expectant, not for a confrontation, not even for redemption, just the truth. The venue was beautiful, a garden ceremony beneath an arch of white roses. Chloe stood glowing in her ivory gown, a bouquet of sunflowers in her hands. Her soon-to-be husband, Jordan, beamed with adoration. It was everything a father could want for his daughter. Except I wasn't listed as the father on the wedding program. Curtis was. I noticed the program when I took my seat near the back, not among the family rows, of course. I was an afterthought, a tolerated presence. Stacy, my ex, saw me and froze mid-conversation. Alan, the man who replaced me in more ways than one, offered a strained nod. It didn't matter. I wasn't here for them. I was here for Chloe. As the ceremony began, I let go of expectations. I listened to their vows, smiled at the laughter, and stood when they kissed. But it was during the reception that the shift happened. Chloe took the microphone. Her voice was steady, but her fingers trembled slightly as she spoke. There's someone here today who wasn't supposed to be, someone I nearly forgot because others made it easy to forget. But I remembered, and I want you all to remember too. Whispers rippled across the tables. Stacy's face paled. Chloe looked directly at me. Gabriel, will you come stand beside me? I froze. For a second, I thought I misheard, but then she extended her hand, and the room turned toward me. Stacy's voice rose. Chloe, this isn't the time. But Chloe silenced her with a glance. No, Mom, it is. I stood. My knees shook. My heart pounded like a drum in my ears. I walked slowly to the stage, not daring to look at Alan, who sat stiffly, jaw clenched. Then the screen lit up behind us. A montage. Old home videos Chloe must have dug out of dusty storage or extracted from backup drives. Videos of me holding her in the hospital, teaching her to ride a bike, singing her to sleep during a storm, laughing as she smeared cake on my nose during her second birthday. Not a word from me, just the moments, the proof. As the final clip faded, Chloe turned to the audience. This is my real father. He may not have been at every recital or every holiday dinner, but only because he wasn't allowed. He never stopped loving me. And today, I want to thank him publicly, not just for raising me when he could, but for forgiving me when I forgot who he was. A tear rolled down my cheek. The room was silent. And then, applause. Not roaring, but enough. Enough for truth to settle into the bones of everyone present. Alan stood up and quietly exited the hall. Stacy followed a moment later, her heels clicking fast and sharp. Chloe didn't watch them go. She just hugged me, tight, like she was making up for every missed hug. I love you, Dad, she whispered, and I finally believed her. That night, I slept more soundly than I had in years, not because I'd won anything, not because I'd proven anyone wrong, but because the part of me that had stayed silent and grieving had finally been seen. There was no vengeance, no dramatic takedown, just light, just love finding its way back after years of wandering in the dark.
Sometimes, justice doesn't roar. It whispers in a moment of recognition. From the very beginning, Gabriel had been cast aside, ignored in favor of someone more convenient, erased from family functions, rewritten out of his own daughter's story. But even in that silence, he remained present, through kindness, through dignity, through unwavering love. In part 1, Gabriel's heartbreak began not with anger, but confusion. A father locked out of his daughter's life while others rewrote the narrative. In part 2, his quiet suffering grew heavier as years passed without acknowledgement, replaced by cold stares and forgotten birthdays. In part 3, we witnessed the subtle shift, Chloe's growing awareness, her questioning of the stories she'd been told. And in part 4, the moment of recognition, the day she reclaimed her father publicly, not out of guilt, but out of truth. This story reminds us that love, when real, endures time, lies, and even absence. That silence can be a tool of cruelty, but it can also be a space where integrity grows strong. And that healing sometimes begins not with grand apologies, but with the courage to say, I remember. Gabriel didn't seek revenge. He didn't need to. His presence, his patience, and his quiet dignity became the loudest declaration of who he was. So here's the truth. You can't always control how others tell your story, but you can live in such a way that when the truth is finally seen, it changes everything. If this story touched you, let us know in the comments. Have you ever been erased and then remembered? Or maybe you're the one who needs to make that first call. Either way, your voice matters. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We share stories that matter because sometimes the most ordinary lives hold the most extraordinary truths.